Hey, and welcome to another week of the Taking L's podcast.
That's good.
We do this at the beginning of every episode, but I just want to say thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching wherever you are watching from. If you are on YouTube, my outfit today looks like a hip Jiffy Lube employee.
My oil needs to get changed soon. You trying to come over?
I'll tell you what, that's racist.
Make it happen.
That, you know. Hey, Taking L's, we're all about making you laugh. We're all about talking about life, and we're also all about talking about leadership. So we are going to dive into today's episode. Dylan, are you ready?
I'm ready. What's today's episode called?
Today's episode is called Canceled.
Is this our last podcast ever? No. If you're worried,
That was the most dad joke
we're
thing
not
you've ever
done.
done. You set me up for that.
Oh, sorry. I didn't think it was that dad jokey.
Yeah, it was pretty dead.
Cody, can you cut the dad joke, please? It's not my brand. Like we have brands.
Yeah, you also love the Cody, can you cut this joke?
That's part of my brand.
That is part of your brand for sure. And mine is making fun of my outfit in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Yep, you get it.
Which is awesome. Well, I'm super excited for this episode. Before we get going, make sure if you haven't, subscribe, follow, do all that stuff. Been getting awesome responses from some of our past couple episodes, people who are sharing with friends, which is always the greatest honor in the world.
Yep.
But as we get going into this episode, we are going to do a segment called One's Gotta Go.
Boom.
What we're going to do is we're going to give each other two things.
Okay.
And one's got to go. So you're going to choose one to keep and one is gone. It's gone forever and ever and ever.
And you can never, ever have that thing or be around that thing or participate in that thing ever again.
Just imagine it being erased from your life.
From your life. That even if you were to go to an event that had that thing, you actually couldn't even be able to go to that event.
No, couldn't do it.
Okay.
Fully erased. Why don't you start?
Okay, here we go. One's got to go.
Okay.
Dylan, out of these two, which one has to go? Which one are you getting rid of forever? Basketball or football?
Ooh, I actually almost gave you this one.
And now I'm talking playing, I'm talking watching,
Wow.
I'm talking fantasy, all things included in that said sport. One's got to go. Which one are you totally erasing from the planet?
Man, this one's tough. This was one I almost gave you.
We are both big sports fans.
Yeah. I think I like the NFL more.
Okay.
And I think I like watching football more.
Yep.
I'm not going to lie. As I get older, I play sports less, which is sad to admit. So like the playing part doesn't necessarily, I think I'm going to get rid of basketball, which is very tough to say.
Speaking of playing sports, you and I yesterday lost in a tennis match.
We did.
To two 9-year-olds.
Correct. Just to clarify to everyone who isn't aware, these 9-year-olds are tennis prodigies.
They are.
And they're going to be very, very
They're
good
the
at tennis.
Williams sisters personified.
Literally.
Yep. And my knee actually still hurts from when I fell when I was trying to return one of their serves.
Bro, my favorite thing was you fell and the boys that we were playing just started, like we would win the points when you fell because they would start laughing so hard. I was like, Braylon, keep falling.
Yeah, but then I got up though and I still would return the shot.
Yeah,
I had Kevin Durant's on that you actually gave me, generosity.
Hey, shout out.
And
not great for tennis though.
Not great for
Better
tennis.
for basketball.
Better for looks.
Who would have known tennis shoes actually was not like an overall encompassing thing?
Yeah.
Tennis shoes are actually a real thing.
Yeah.
And we both could have used them.
For sure, we could have used them. So you just picked basketball. You picked
Basketball's going to go.
basketball's going to go.
I'll take that.
So you can never watch basketball. You can never play basketball ever again. Mm-hmm. Wow.
When you think of it like that, it's just so tough.
It is tough.
Okay.
It's tough.
I think this one's going to be tough. I'm really curious to hear what you respond.
Yep.
Okay, so one's got to go. Movies or TV shows?
Movies got to go.
Ooh, you said it quick. Why?
Because my wife and I love a good TV show. Mm-hmm. We don't necessarily watch a lot of movies because for some reason we can always agree on a TV show to watch. We struggle picking a movie to watch together.
Dude, okay, that is the same thing.
Which I don't understand because it's like, how do we have the same preference in TV shows, but yet in movies we have such different preferences?
I think when picking a TV show with your wife, you're not just picking a one night thing. You're picking something you might be doing for weeks together.
It's an investment.
Yeah. Like when you pick a movie, you're going to pick a movie. You spend an hour choosing the movie
for
on whatever streaming platform you're on.
Yep.
And then if you're doing movie, like you're picking another movie another night.
I watch more trailers, like the length of trailers, than the actual movie we end up watching.
I will say though, me and Maddie love, like it's one of our favorite date nights to go to in Bellevue. There's like the Cinemark Reserve where you like order food to your seats and like do that whole deal.
Rich people movie theaters.
Which would be, if you go at the right time, you know me.
Yeah. You get the deals.
Yeah.
Big Groupon guy.
Not a big Groupon guy, but I do get the deals. I don't know if that's like cool to admit or whatever, but okay, so movies are going. I'd probably agree with that as well.
Here's a thought that I have that's completely random.
I love random thoughts.
So Karen is such a thing right now, don't be a Karen.
Which, by the way, my mom's name is Karen, so I can't like always laugh at the Karen jokes. And my mom listens to this pod. Mom, if you didn't know, there's memes about people named Karen. You might want to Google that. But I don't think she knows that her name is a meme itself.
So Karen is a joke right now that we're probably all aware of. And if you're not, get on Twitter.
Just go Google Karen jokes.
The original Karen was the coupon lady.
Oh, really?
That's what I think. Remember how like the coupon?
You said,
coupon lady. Like, remember how that was such a big deal back in the day a few years ago?
Yeah.
I think that the coupon lady has it's involved.
Into the Groupon lady?
Into Karen. I just think Karen got on TikTok, or the coupon lady got on TikTok and turned into Karen.
Yeah, Karen went from coupons to white supremacy. Like Karen,
if you take a little bit of coupons, Groupon, and racism, and you put them all together, that's Karen.
I'm not talking about my mom. We love you. It's just,
oh man,
what a meme. It's so funny. Social media, man.
Cody, do you agree with this random point that I'm trying to make right now?
The spirit of the joke is good, but you're way off.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Cody.
He goes, you're way off. Okay, give me your next one.
So back to the fact I'd pick TV shows.
Okay.
Just to bring it back.
Movies are gone.
Yep, movies are gone. One of my favorite things to do is we have an Apple TV.
Yep.
There's an app called Trailers.
Yeah.
I will consistently, probably once a week, go into the app and just watch the trailers. I love trailers.
That's awesome.
I actually would rather watch a trailer of a movie than the movie.
The trailers, I will say trailers, it's like one of my favorite parts of going to the movie theater.
Yeah.
Like
all the trailers.
All the trailers.
Okay, here you go. One's got to go, Dylan. Pizza or tacos?
Oh, that's easy. Pizza.
Yeah, I knew you were going to do that.
I like pizza. Don't get me wrong. For me, pizza is more of a convenience thing. Like it's one of the pizza has always been one of the easiest things to order in while you have a bunch of people coming over.
Here's where I'm going to get you.
Okay.
Is that we said in the beginning of this that if that food is at an event, you cannot go to that event.
Okay.
So think about how many things you go to that has pizza at it. That's eliminating like kids' birthday parties, football hangs.
I'm so bummed I'm going to miss out on Chuck E. Cheese.
Moving days. It's like every person that moves is like, come help us move. I'll buy pizza. As if like a $9.99 pepperoni pizza.
Man, I wasn't going to help you move, but now that you said that you were going to buy Domino's,
that's going to be the incentive for me to come on my free Saturday.
To be honest, I was out until you said you were getting Papa John's.
Oh man, whoa! That 5 for 5 deal, I'll be right over.
Which, by the way, I just helped a friend move. I will help my friends move without giving me food or not. So I appreciate the like food afterwards.
For sure.
Always down for sure. Food.
But it's just a fun like stigma thing that happens. It's like, come help us move. We'll have some cheap beer and a pizza. Because that's what I want after I wake up on my Saturday when I don't have to come over and sweat for no reason and move your crap. Totally. Yes, I would love a Corona and a Domino's.
Yeah, that's real. I guess, I don't know. There'd probably be some events I'd have to miss out on. I think at that point, we just go to other options. What's nice about, like, there's so many other you went for pizza in the past because it was the one food that delivered. Now with all the delivery apps, you could literally get so much better food delivered than pizza.
That is true.
It's just pizza. Like they've made it so cheap now. Like you can feed so many people with Domino's pizza.
That's very accurate.
But still, tacos are. I love tacos so much.
Fire.
Tacos are the best.
All right, your
If
go.
you got any good taco places you think I haven't been to? Comment or text me or DM us at Taking L's podcast.
That would be great, actually. We both love tacos.
If you ever have good food recommendations, send them our way.
We love food.
We love food. Okay. Okay. One's got to go.
Okay.
Sports as a whole.
Ooh.
Or music as a whole.
Oh, easy. Music's got to go.
Wow.
Easy.
Do you realize how like intertwined music is into every part of culture? I don't think how much you realize like background music in movies makes movies.
Okay, well, if we're doing that, then that means I can't watch sports because there's music at sporting events.
Well, I would more say I wouldn't go as far as like when you were like, oh, any event that has this, like that would basically can't like everything would be gone.
Yeah.
Because music is everywhere. I'm more saying like imagine certain things without music. Like even think about how music adds to being at like an NFL football game. Like
give me sports over music all day long. Yep. I very rarely listen to music. I love music as a background. Mm-hmm. Like I don't like silence. So when we make dinner, music's on in the background. Yeah. Really, anytime I'm doing anything, I'm listening to something.
Wow.
But sports is like I have friends strictly because of sports.
Total, yeah, for sure.
I have experiences strictly because of sports. Like sports is so important to me. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I would have to let go of before I let go of sports, and music's for sure one of them.
Dang, I thought it would be a harder choice. I'm just more surprised you went so quick because I think I love sports a ton too.
I'm not a big music guy though.
For me, it's more of like how music is involved in so many different. I think a lot of things would change. With
I'd
music
watch a
not being
silent movie for the rest of my life before I gave up sports.
I think you'd be shocked. Cody, do you agree with me at all on this one? I just want to know.
I mean, the entire genre of silent movies has music in it. There's just no dialogue.
That was
Cody, you're being a jerk tonight.
when I asked for Cody's opinion. That was not where I thought it was going, but I'm so glad I asked.
Producer Cody, you're being a big jerk, okay?
My favorite thing is like we're talking the whole time and Cody's just listening and he has the best response because he's just
running thoughts.
Yeah. Okay. What's your next one?
Okay, here we go. One's got to go. I'm gonna let the listeners know a little background before I ask this. Okay.
Okay.
Dylan, you are married to Maddie.
Yes.
Okay. You guys both have one sibling.
Yes.
You both have a brother. That's the only sibling you have.
Yes.
One's got to go. Your brother or Maddie's brother?
That's easy. Maddie's brother. Here's the thing. First of all, Mitch doesn't listen to this podcast, so I have no shame saying.
And your brother does.
My brother actually does. He's a fan.
Absolutely. Big fan.
Yeah. Could be considered a super fan. We're currently, I'm kidding. We don't have super fans.
He's an ally. Like my least favorite term right now.
Got me so good.
True story. I was in a work meeting today. And
God.
it was around.
Don't forget what your dad said, man.
I won't say what it's around. I was in a work meeting today, and someone goes, "Yeah, and like those crew of people could be our allies." I'm like, "Why is that a term that we're using right now? Like the whole white ally thing, like anything that supports something is all of a sudden an ally." Yeah. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing we've ever thought of.
I'm no comment.
All that to say, your brother's an ally of this podcast.
But the thing is, I love Mitch.
Yep.
Mitch could fall asleep anywhere.
He could.
So like you'll be hanging out with Mitch and all of a sudden there's like, I'm gonna go take a nap. You're like, Mitch, we were playing a board game. He's like, it's okay. I'm just gonna go take a nap.
I have been around Mitch. Would you agree a total of 75 hours?
Yeah.
Out of those 75 hours, he's been asleep for 50.
No.
Mitch is constantly sleeping.
I do love really hanging out with Mitch. I'm more just making a joke about how much he sleeps, but Mitch, dude,
My man sleeps a lot.
I'm taking Jake.
He sleeps a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, you're up. I think this
Which
is
I'm
your
actually
last.
stoked on. Sometimes like we'll be driving on a road trip with Maddie's family.
Yeah.
And Mitch will just be in the car like crumpled over. Just Like he got turned off and just, and that's like so impressive. I'm like jealous.
It is. I'm also jealous of that ability.
Okay, so next one I got for you. When I say both of these require like a sense of like desire. Craving for one of them would be really weird. So but craving, wanting, desire.
I got you with that last one though. Your brother or Maddie's brother. That was good. That was creative.
That was creative.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a hard choice, but it was. I'm gonna take my own brother
for sure.
My brother's fun to hang out with. So this one not only like you don't. Let me just say it, and then I'll give you the context.
Okay.
So one's got to go: food or sex. And when I say, hold on, listen. When I say food's got to go, like you don't need food in this scenario. Like you don't get hungry. You have everything you need for your body to function. Like you can go without food. And if sex is gone, like you also don't have the like desires or the like whatever. It's just kind of like it's nothing. So it's more out of like the enjoyment.
This is a very easy question. Food's got to go because think about how much money that's saving me now. And also, one of the worst things.
You went so practical. And that's so.
Also, there's some days, and I love food. I'm a foodie at heart.
Yeah.
I love to try new foods. I love good tasting foods.
And that's why I asked you this question.
I love to even like spend a lot of money on food. That's something like
You love cooking.
I love cooking. It's one of my favorite things to do during the week. One of Carly and I's like our hobbies, like one of our favorite date nights is like going and like spending more money than we should at a restaurant.
I thought you were about to transition to not talking about food to sex. Like one of mine and Carly's hobbies. And I was like, wow, that's how you're going to intro your explanation.
No. So I'm saying this from someone who loves food.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
There's some days like when I'm at work or something, or even like at night, busy life, you don't actually want to eat. Like I don't want to take the time to cook something or
you're
make
just
food.
like so hungry.
Yeah, so if I'm removing the sense of hunger and I don't have to eat anymore, not only am I saving money, but like I'm way more productive in my day.
Yeah.
And yeah, roulette. One's got to go. Food. Give me sex over food all day long.
Great. That was great reasoning, by the way.
Yep.
I didn't.
Sex is free, and it doesn't last as long as cooking. Time saver.
Great
Money
job.
saver, time saver. Okay, one's got to go. Here we go. Netflix or Amazon. And I'm not talking just Amazon's show platform. I'm talking the whole entire company of Amazon.
Oh, that's easy. Sorry, Cobby. Netflix is gone. Sorry, it's gone.
So now that really limits what you can watch.
Yeah, but everybody's coming out with like a streaming platform.
Yeah, and you're a big HBO guy too.
You're
You're a big HBO guy.
Not really.
Ozark?
Ozark's on Netflix.
No. Oh, it is.
Yeah. There's the only show on HBO that I've really ever gotten into is Game of Thrones. So I'm not a big HBO guy. But there's a lot of other.
Outlander on HBO?
That's on Showtime, and that's Maddie's show, not mine. Yeah. But
Great clarif.
Hulu, like there's Hulu, there's other stuff. Amazon, we talked about this on a previous episode. I do so much through Amazon.
Totally.
We order groceries through Amazon. I order pretty much everything else on Amazon.
Yep.
And like what Amazon offers.
Can I tell a funny story?
Yes, please.
When we were just previously on vacation, Carly and I last week, and we went to this grocery store, and she found this brand where, my favorite joke, we're modern day hippies. Mm-hmm. So she found this like brand of organic, healthy plantain chips that are delicious.
Dude, I love plantain.
And they're like
great
all
stuff.
natural, whatever. So she found this brand. She bought a couple types, and they're fire. So we crushed them last week. So last night before I go up to bed, I notice an empty Amazon box that is just like broken down in the corner where we like put our trash to take it downstairs. Mm-hmm. And so I get up in bed and I'm like, what did we order from Amazon? Like what came? And she's like, oh, what? I'm like, yeah, what came from Amazon? She's like, it was an old Amazon box. And I was like, okay. Like didn't think anything of it. And then about 50 seconds later, a minute later, she's like, I ordered those plantain chips off Amazon. And I'm like, what? Why'd you do that? She's like, well, I went to the grocery store and they actually have them at Whole Foods, but they're $4.50 at Whole Foods. And I thought that was expensive. So I looked on Amazon and they have all the flavors on Amazon for $3 a bag. And so she's like, I like immediately ordered 2 bags and it came in today. And I was like, what? So they're here? She's like, yeah. So I immediately went back downstairs into the kitchen.
That's awesome. First of all, I love that Carly didn't tell you that because clearly she was trying to have a stash of plantain
She
chips
100% was.
without you, which is awesome.
Yes, she wanted to have a stash, but here's my favorite part. She put them just in the cupboard where all the rest of our like food is.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you were really trying to be sneaky, put them someplace else.
Yeah.
They were, obviously at some point I was going to see them if I saw the Amazon box or not.
Yeah.
But it was just really funny that she like tried her best to like lie to me about it, and then literally a minute later she's like, I bought those chips.
Wow, calling your wife a liar on the pod, bold move, bro. We'll see how that plays out.
I said she tried to lie to me about it.
She couldn't.
But she couldn't because she's such an amazing person.
very
with a
honorable.
sensitive heart.
Great person.
So don't you try to put words in my mouth and get me in trouble because I pick sex over food. So if I can't have sex, then I'm not only starving, but I'm starving, if you know what I mean.
Speaking of picking sex, a few episodes back, I ranked sex really low on something.
This is also the longest segment
It's great.
production, Cody, I think we've ever done.
It's great. And first of all, really didn't think through what I was doing. So I would like to issue a public apology to everybody who is listening.
Thank you.
Very much value intimate time with my wife.
Yep.
And to my wife, Maddie, I love you a lot. She doesn't listen to this pod. I'm kidding. It's like my favorite joke to make. I apologize. And if we had to re-rank that again, I would also get rid of food. I'd choose sex.
Just to clarify, we were doing a kind of a similar segment game where we were talking about values and you had to rank 3 things.
We're ranking
right?
3 things, yeah.
And I gave you success, sports, and sex, and you put sex as your 3rd.
I had good reasoning, and then I really thought about it later, and
Boo. You got ripped apart in our friend group text, by the way.
I got ripped apart in multiple different friend group texts, enemy
you
group
should.
texts.
And the thing is
have an
that
enemy group text, but-
you actually haven't had sex since that podcast came out. So there is that. That was my last one.
Okay,
I got one more.
I got one more.
Okay.
One's got to go.
One's got to go.
Driving or flying?
Ooh.
As I was doing some of these, by the way, I was like, I don't even know what I think. I'm really curious to hear what Braylon has to say.
So driving, like no one can drive cars, or I can't drive a car.
You can't.
Oh, easy. Driving. I hate driving a car. I never drive. Carly drives everywhere. I love Ubers. I would if Uber didn't cost a lot.
No. Like I more meant like you can't drive in a car.
Oh,
I already know. Like you already eliminate driving from your life. You don't drive.
Yeah, I
anyways.
hate driving.
You literally.
Driving is literally. If I never have to be, actually, my goal in life is to live a lifestyle where I never have to be behind a wheel of a car.
You pretty much already live that lifestyle.
I do. Yes.
You are the only married couple I know where the wife drives significantly more than the husband.
Significantly, 100% of the time. I never drive. I hate driving.
I do not know, and I'm trying very hard right now. I can't think of another couple.
And you know what? I'm proud of that.
Yeah, I'm not even convinced you have a valid driver's license because you don't need it.
I don't think our state government is convinced of that either.
So is that you saying that you don't?
I don't know if our insurance company, for how much they charge us, is also convinced of that. Matter of fact, I don't know if I'm convinced of that either. I have a license. I don't know if it would actually do anything for me.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. My favorite joke is that my life span is actually longer because I don't get behind the wheel of a car. Welcome to being black in America.
Oh gosh. Well, that was our.
Okay, wait. I didn't pick one though.
Oh yeah.
So I can't be in a car versus I can't be in an airplane.
Yeah, you can't utilize the function of either. You can't utilize driving. You can't utilize.
Well, one's got to go flying because you're in a car every day. You're in an airplane 4 times a year on a good year. Mm-hmm. For an average person, you know, some of you live these awesome
You're just gonna like stick to the state of Washington and call it good.
Well, no, I mean, if I want to, we can still go on a trip and just have to drive on that trip.
Sure, just road trips would be your favorite thing.
I mean, how are you going to commute if you don't have a car?
No, totally. I would get rid of flying too.
Yeah,
but
well, you're going to bike everywhere.
it'd just be a bummer. You're like,
you're getting ready to move an hour away from life as we know it.
not an hour, but that's okay.
Well, an hour away, you could actually take a helicopter.
Yeah. Can you imagine if that became your norm?
That would be pretty dope.
That would be awesome. We got to
work
move
on that.
on from this.
Write a book. Yep. That takes us to our L of the week.
That is our podcast because it's now over. It's been 40 minutes.
This has been the longest segment we've ever done. We're making
I
history.
really enjoyed it though.
It was great. Hopefully, you as the listener have enjoyed it as well.
I think I have.
L of the week, loss of the week, a moment to laugh at ourselves. L of the week, here we go. So like I was saying earlier, we went on vacation last week, and because of COVID, flights are really cheap.
Yeah.
They're also not happening as often as usual because obviously people shouldn't be traveling right now. We traveled. It was the first time we've traveled since COVID. I don't even recommend traveling, but it was a family vacation. And it was the first time that my sisters, my brother-in-laws, my nephews, and my dad got to meet Ocean, my son.
Which is so awesome.
Which is so awesome. So it was a very special and important trip to us. So we took the risk of traveling and COVID and all of that for this special moment.
Literally traveled Ocean in a bubble. Like just walked around. You know?
Yeah. We just wrapped him in saran wrap, actually. Cut a hole in a straw in it. And that's how he was breathing.
Brilliant.
Yep, that's not true. So our flights were the cheapest they've ever been. But we also bought, Alaska has a thing, probably shouldn't say the name of the airline, even though I'm not bashing it.
Yeah.
A certain airline that's named after a state that's not connected to the rest of the continental U.S., they have a thing where you buy the like saver ticket, meaning if they change the flight on you, you actually would have to pay to then change your flights. Like it's like the cheap seats, essentially. So we bought those tickets thinking nothing of it. We kind of thought even when we bought these tickets early March that like kind of COVID would be over. Joke's on us.
Yep.
And we buy these flights and we're getting ready to go on our trip. First off, flying with an 8-month-old is the equivalent to, think of the hardest thing you've done recently.
Playing 9-year-olds in tennis.
Okay, think of the most painful thing you've done recently, and then it's that emotionally. Because an 8-month-old is in a weird place to where like they're not young enough to just fall asleep anywhere.
Yeah.
And they're also not old enough to be entertained by like an iPad. Like he doesn't care about movies.
Wow, that's real.
So it's that weird, like it's just 3 hours of trying to make him not scream, cry, basically.
Yeah.
And it was very hard. So we're flying there, and before we leave, we get an email from this airline that the flight that we booked is no longer, it does not exist, it's been canceled. And they moved us to a different flight. And because we got the cheap tickets, we couldn't move to any other flights or it would essentially cost you more than the tickets itself. So like, great. So we find that out a couple days before we leave. We find out that our flights back, we were leaving at 6 a.m. Sunday morning to come back from San Diego to Seattle. And we found out that that flight has been canceled. Canceled, done, no more. And they moved us to a 2:45 flight in the afternoon. So pretty big difference between 6 a.m. and 2:45.
Huge difference.
And because they're doing this thing to where like if not enough people get on the flight, then they're just going to cancel it and move you to the next one because people aren't traveling right now.
Wow. Don't buy saver tickets.
Don't buy saver tickets. Moral of this story.
Big L.
But our flight in the morning got canceled. Sunday it actually turned out to be one of our best days of the trip because we kind of just got an extended morning. Everyone else in my family was gone at this point. So we just got to hang. We took a long beach walk on Sunday morning. We did have to check out of the room still pretty early. But it just allowed us to have this pretty chill, elongated day that we weren't planning on.
Yeah.
So our flight getting canceled, essentially, actually turned out to be a win for our trip and our day, even though it was an inconvenience.
That's awesome.
So something getting canceled actually kind of helped out our experience. Today, this episode, you probably forgot what it's called because it's been so long. Our segment took so long since we've talked about this. But today's episode being called Canceled. And recently, because of all that's happening in our country with Black Lives Matter, the conversation of racism is the loudest it's probably been since the 60s. I think that's a pretty safe thing to say. We as a country right now are having a conversation at a consistency level we have not had for decades. And because it is on the forefronts of everyone's minds, some new terms have been birthed from really the murder of George Floyd and Black Lives Matter and all that's happening.
Well, and even I think that's really like ramped it up. But even before that, just because of what social media is, like before George Floyd, that this idea of cancel culture has really even just become more prevalent in the last few months.
Absolutely.
And so
today, our conversation, we really want to talk about cancel culture. What is this term? What is this idea? Do we agree? Do we disagree? And also, when Dylan actually brought this idea of this episode to me, I was like, I don't know how I feel about cancel culture, actually. But it's such a hot topic right now, and it's such a prevalent thing that we see happening with businesses, with people on social media, off of social media. It's like a real thing in our world right now is cancel culture. So we decided, let's talk about it, and let's actually figure out how we feel about it on a podcast. Why not?
Hey, just hit the record button, have a conversation.
Yo, hit record and let me go.
And I think for all of you listening, just to be direct, we both don't know how we feel about this. And our goal is not to maybe sway anybody one way or the other. I don't know. Maybe we end up at one way or the other by the end. But our goal is just kind of talk about it a little bit and maybe have a few observations. For those of you that don't know, cancel culture. Cancel culture essentially is this idea that maybe if somebody does something wrong, that maybe is a public figure, maybe they're a big organization, maybe they're even just a friend or somebody that you know, that they would do something wrong. And the idea is that they would be canceled. We're not killing people because of a take that they say, but the idea is that maybe their perception in society would actually be killed. Like you think about maybe a good example that a lot of people would know about is Drew Brees, kind of like right in the middle of everything that's happening over the past several weeks with racial injustice. About 3 weeks ago, he came out and said something along the lines of like, hey, you know, I stand for the flag. I stand for the national anthem. I don't believe in kneeling. Kneeling during the national anthem is a big deal in the NFL. And he came out and said this, and all this backlash from teammates, different people around the NFL.
Terrible take, by the way.
He comes in and like he absolutely like you were gonna after 4 hours of social media post what he said. Like you would think he's not going to be in the NFL anymore. Like people were trying to end his career.
Or even better example, there's an MTV show where it's a reality show where one of the characters has made some pretty racist-esque comments and has a pretty hard stand on what he believes and is clear to go to it on Twitter and things. And so once all of this started happening, this conversation started happening, they were getting so much backlash from just having this guy on the show that they immediately removed him from the show. So that is cancel culture. You have said something that is potentially racist, you're canceled, you're done.
And it's not even just racism, it's just in general. Like you've done something that's controversial, you've done something that's been perceived as wrong, you've done something that's hurtful, and we are done with you.
We want nothing to do with you. Hands clean, you're out of here.
CEO of an organization, you're doing stuff behind closed doors, it's not okay. We are all boycotting your organization. That is cancel culture. And I guess the question that I even wanted to propose for this conversation is how do we feel about that? And maybe I could start it with this way, is I would love to hear some of your thoughts. When do you think we should operate within this idea of cancel culture? And maybe when shouldn't we? How do we draw the line? Because I think that there's times, and something that we've talked about even on previous episodes is like standing up for things that you believe in, and really fighting for causes, and really being people of values, being people of morals. Like we believe in that, where we're like let's stand up, like let's be vocal, let's have conversations, whatever it is. And so how do we as leaders, this pod is about finding the leader inside of you to live that best life. For us as leaders that want to care about those around us, how can we maybe do this the right way? That we find the line of like, actually, I'm done with that person. I'm done with that organization. I'm done with that restaurant. I'm done with whatever it is. Or I'm actually going to give them a second chance. What do you think? How do you think we start this conversation? How do you think we draw the line?
Again, to reiterate, this is a live processing session.
Yeah.
I think there's a positive and a negative to cancel culture. I think number one, the positive is the fact that there is a standard that we're holding people to that has never existed before.
Yep.
And let me make this loud and clear. I'm loving it. Mm-hmm. I'm loving the fact that that guy on the MTV show that I just referenced, that he got kicked off the show.
Yep.
I think that's awesome.
Yep.
I think I saw on social media some of the tweets and things he's posted. And I think he should be held accountable for some of the takes that he said. They were just divisive. They had a very racist lean towards them. They were very in support of even the Confederate kind of movement that's happening right now and things. And I think that that's great. I think companies who have not responded to the moment in history that we're living in, that don't respond well, I think that people should maybe remove their money or their investments. Or like, I know there's some companies that I follow that I like that didn't post a black square on Blackout Tuesday. Now I'm I don't know if I want to put my money there, because if you can't even make a post that says my skin color matters, why do I want to give you my $7.99? And I know that's so small, and it's like, how does that really affect the company? But for me, that does actually matter to me. I think the negative of cancel culture is the fact that it's kind of making people, society, scared to say the wrong thing.
Yep.
And as we're encouraging people more than ever, learn, have the tough conversations, educate yourself. Well, you know what happens in tough conversations?
You say dumb stuff.
You say dumb stuff because it's a tough conversation.
Absolutely.
And as you're processing things, allowing things to rise to the surface, well, not all of the things that are going to rise to the surface are going to sound good.
Yes.
Like when my wife and I have tough conversations, I don't always say the best things in those moments because I'm processing through real things. Mm-hmm. As a nation, we're processing through racism, equality, even the history of our country, systemic racism. We are processing through so many things like never before that people have suppressed, that our nation has suppressed for 400 years.
Yep.
Well, things are coming up right now that no one's ever communicated before or even really rationalized or thought through or processed. Like, of course you're going to say the wrong thing.
Yep.
So I see a positive and a negative. I love the fact that we're holding people accountable. I love the fact that companies are not having it with CEOs, boards members, stuff like that. I also kind of worry that we're making people scared to actually use this time in history to actually kind of process and maybe remove some things that they have in their heart and in their mind.
You bring up such phenomenal points. I don't think I could agree more with you. A word that came to mind even as you were talking was context.
Yeah.
Like before we cancel a company, before we cancel a person, before we cancel whatever it is, do we have the context? Kind of a story that comes to mind is, I think a lot of people would know this story with Bubba Wallace, the NASCAR driver, right? So NASCAR comes out and announces, hey, we found a noose in Bubba Wallace's garage.
Yep.
And they notify him. They kind of put it out in public. There's a race. I think it was the next day there was a race.
Yeah, a couple days
like
later.
2 days
like
later.
that, yeah.
And they come out and there's this big unifying thing of, by the way, he's the only black NASCAR driver. So all these other drivers who are predominantly white, I think pretty much all
predominantly, they're all white except Bubba Wallace.
I just didn't know if there was any like other non-white, non-black, but I think
there's not.
All white and Bubba Wallace. And they're walking him in his car out. And it's this beautiful scene, all this support. It comes out that the FBI then...
Keep in mind there was a Confederate flag rally happening outside of this NASCAR race because NASCAR banned the Confederate flag. So there was people who were so upset they were protesting the NASCAR race with the Confederate flag everywhere.
Which is just unreal.
Talk about a dichotomy of what's happening.
And by the way, shout out to NASCAR for making big changes
For
and
sure.
being willing to cost themselves money, cost themselves fan base because they say we're going to stand for something.
Yep.
But so then it comes out, FBI investigation, that they believe it wasn't a noose, that it was something that was used to pull down the garage door. Well, all of a sudden you go on social media and people are absolutely destroying Bubba Wallace. You made this up. You created a story just to do this, just to do that.
You're pushing the narrative of racism.
You're trying to create more hate. You're trying to create more issues. We don't need that right now. We got enough issues. And if you actually took time to get the context, you would learn that he never went in the garage. He only found out what NASCAR told them.
Yep.
So like NASCAR made the wrong call. It wasn't that Bubba Wallace had an opportunity to make something up. He was just given the information that was presented to them.
Yeah.
And what I thought was, for me personally, that was frustrating is like, we are making an attempt to cancel a human being who is taking a stand and saying some amazing things, and really even with his platform helping unify a whole sport. We're wanting to cancel him when he actually didn't even have the correct context. And sometimes I wonder, when we're in conversations and we're so quickly to maybe judge someone's opinion, judge something that they say wrong, do we have the whole context?
Yeah.
Like maybe someone was just poorly educated. Maybe they didn't have the background or have the understanding of something. And so maybe instead of canceling them, maybe we can have a productive conversation to help them learn.
Totally.
So that they're not afraid to speak up, but they would actually be more, more prone to having a multitude of conversations moving forward, instead of maybe retreating and saying, I don't want to talk about this anymore because of how I was responded to that next time.
So that's why I say there's positive and negatives, because you said, let's help them learn. Well, I agree with that, but how do I help a company learn?
Yes.
And if a company is not responding well to this, or if there's stuff coming out, hey, this company posted a black square, but this is what they've actually said internally to their employees, that they can't post anything about Black Lives Matter. Or that's funny that they posted a black square, but actually they have no board members of color. Mm-hmm. They have no one on their leadership team of color. Matter of fact, they even have racist terms within their employees and things to how to identify potential thieves and suspects and, all these things. Like, I can't help that company learn. Mm-hmm. So I think that company does need to be held to a certain standard to where, to use the term, quote unquote, we cancel them, mm-hmm. because what's going to help them learn? Their pockets getting hit.
Yep.
What's going to help the CEO of this company that has intentionally turned their shoulder to diversity and to being an inclusive company and to actually standing up for the things that they say their company believes in?
Yeah.
What's gonna hurt that CEO? The dollars. So that's where I'm like, I actually enjoy the fact that we are in this time of cancel culture, because it's helping us in a way prove we're about what we say we're about.
Absolutely. And I think you make a great point. And again, it shows that there's a value to not just you, but I think if a group of people have the mindset of like, why don't we support organizations, companies, and people, and show the support in a way that actually affects them.
Yeah.
One that causes change, or that we just support the companies that are leading the way in change. And I think one of the things with cancel culture is I think of like, what should we do and what shouldn't we do? It's like, let's just not let social media be the only answer.
Yeah.
Right. Like for me, I think about, okay, if I'm frustrated with, let's say, politics, like if I don't like something that's happening, like don't let social media be the only means that you take something out.
Totally.
Like, let's not just vote, but like, let's educate other people and promote other people to vote. And like, let's help promote a culture that drives change, right? Yeah. When it comes to organizations, if you see an organization that's maybe doing something that we don't agree with, instead of it just being a social media thing, what if we led the change where a multitude of people would say, hey, we're actually going to pivot our dollars to this.
Yeah.
We're seeing that right now, and it's actually affecting certain companies because of the way that they have refused to adjust. And I don't know, I think that there is something amazing that's happening right now, specifically when it comes to racial injustice, where you have to pick a side.
Yep.
And I think that that's really healthy, because indifference no longer is indifference.
Yep.
Indifference is you choosing the side of racism. Indifference is you choosing the side of oppression.
Yeah.
And so if you choose indifference, you are choosing a side, whether you realize that or not.
For sure.
And I think for us to say we're actually going to put our finances, put our support towards places or organizations or people that are promoting change, I think is super healthy.
You actually just led me into this story that I want to tell and want to end with.
Yeah.
If that's okay. I have spoke about my dad, who is a hero of mine, 70-year-old black man who has lived a very successful, awesome life, who has done multiple things as the first black man to ever do those things. Thing about cancel culture. I would say right now, because of millennials, Gen Z, because of social media,
Yeah.
I was making fun of this term earlier in this episode, but the white ally term,
Yep.
I think is kind of laughable. But there are more white allies right now. There's more white people standing up for the importance of black lives, standing up to be anti-racist on a public scale than ever before. Like it is overwhelming in a good way to see how many white people with influence, white people without influence, just people in general that are saying, hey, we have a part to play in standing up for the importance of black lives, and it's time for us to not just stand up for them, but to be anti-racist. So my dad was telling this story. Okay, my dad's 70 years old. He has never experienced anything like what's happening in our country right now, as far as he's experienced the racism times 10. But the white people stepping up to be anti-racist white allies like never before. And black people have never been able to have cancel culture. Because if they canceled out every white person or every company or every job that did them dirty, they would be so siloed. He has never in his life been able to take a white person that's been racist to him. He grew up in the Jim Crow. The Green Book is not just an Oscar-winning movie. Him and his family actually had a Green Book in his car that when they went on road trips every single year, they'd drive from Arizona back to where he's from in Oklahoma, and they had a Green Book so that they could know where they can stop, where they would be safe. A Green Book is a book that they gave black people that showed them where restaurants was, where they could use the restroom or at least order food.
Watch the movie Green Book, by the way.
Watch the movie Green Book.
To this and you haven't watched it, you should.
He had an actual, real Green Book. This man has experienced some racism. So think about him as a teenager, right? If he went into a restaurant and they said, sir, we're not going to serve you. Not sir, boy, we're not going to serve you. He can't cancel out that restaurant. And he told this story. He was on the fire department. He told the story that he worked with this battalion chief for 6 years. How the fire department works is you work 1 day on, 2 days off. Okay, so every 3 days, he spent 24 hours with this guy. This was a white guy, a little older than him. For 6 years, he drove this guy everywhere. He was his driver. My dad, black man, drove a white battalion chief, which was a rank above him. He drove him. He would make him breakfast in the morning. My dad is a servant at heart. He would make him breakfast in the mornings. They spent 24 hours together every 3 days for 6 years. My dad finally promoted to battalion chief after 6 years of working for this guy. So now they're peers. They're the same rank. They're walking into his first ever battalion chief meeting. By the way, my dad was the first ever black battalion chief for the Phoenix Fire Department or in the state of Arizona.
Dude, shout out. That's awesome.
So they're walking into his first battalion chief meeting. This guy who he spent 24 hours with every 3 days for 6 years looks at him and goes, just so you know, I don't know you in there. And my dad was like a little thrown. He was like, what do you mean you don't know me in there? So just so you know, when we walk into this meeting, I'm not connected to you at all. And they go into that meeting, and this guy acted as if he did not know that my father existed a day before that meeting, to the point that my dad would speak to certain things in the meeting. And this guy and the many other white battalion chiefs at the table, no one would address anything that he said. They would just sit there silent, not say a word, and just keep the conversation going as if he did not exist. So not only did this guy, whom my dad served and became very good friends with for 6 years, say, I'm not going to acknowledge you. The rest of the table said, you just don't exist. Even though you have promoted and become one of us, you don't exist here. So I think about that story that my dad shares. I think about the emotions that he had on that day. And then I think I look at today at the cancel culture that's happening. And part of me kind of gets excited about it for the sake of my 70-year-old father who has gone through the stories and the things that he's gone through. It's like about time we get to cancel people for being ignorant.
Wow.
About time that we get to hold people to a standard of you cannot be that way.
Yes.
You cannot do that. You cannot say that. If you're going to be about it, you have to be about it.
Yes.
You cannot just tweet something flippant. You can't just do things on your board and in your companies and in your life and in your families and in your relationships and think that that is okay anymore. It is not.
Yes.
And for the sake of my father and for the many other black people who are older than me who've been putting up with this stuff for years, it's time to cancel some people out.
Wow.
And so I hear that story, I think about cancel culture, and I'm just like, man, like, it is a bummer that we're kind of quick to just pull the trigger on some people. But at the same time, like, as the black community, we have never been able to do that before. Wow. And now that we have hundreds of thousands of white allies on our side, now we're okay to cancel some people. So let's do this thing and let's cancel some people.
Wow.
And let's hold some people accountable for actually just not being ignorant, racist human beings.
Man, it's pretty much impossible to follow that because that is eye-opening. It is, I mean, it's everything. There's so many words you can describe that. And so maybe if I can end it and say, as you leave.
You're so good at the as you leave, by the way.
As you leave, I think one word you just said came to mind, and it's this word accountability.
Yep.
It's a cancel culture. I think we said some things maybe we could be careful of, things that we can be aware of, context, different things. But there is something amazing to the point in history we are right now where accountability is a must and accountability is a have to. And so as you leave, is there somebody, is there something, is there some company, is there some part of your workplace, is there somewhere in your life where you can hold something or someone more accountable? Do you need to change where you spend your finances and your money? And you need to go, I'm not going to support that anymore. Is there a person that you need to have a conversation with? Is there maybe like even a person to say bold enough, like we're going to need to be disconnected from a little bit because it's not healthy and there's some stuff going on.
Yep.
Accountability. As you leave, is there someone, something, somewhere that accountability needs to be shown and that us as leaders, we can step up and help be a part of that accountability process?
We love you. Post it, share it if you want to. See you next week.
Love you all.